I didn't realize how stringent North Carolina has been in its efforts to improve bycatch and just taking care of the environment. And we have joining us this afternoon Blake Price. And Blake, I'm going to get you a little closer to that microphone.
Yes, sir.
Real close.
All right.
And welcome to the program.
Thank you very much, Lockwood. Glad to be here.
Let's talk about Blake Price because, I know you're now the Deputy Director of the Southern Shrimp Alliance. First question before I get any further. Southern Shrimp Alliance, 9 states. Am I correct on that?
8 states
8
from
states.
North Carolina to Texas. Yep.
Okay, North Carolina to Texas. Does not include Virginia.
That's correct. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought it did. Okay, 8 states all the way around. Okay. But let's talk about Blake Price.
Okay.
Background.
Sure. Just focusing on the last 23 years. I've been here in
And you're only 22 and a half.
Oh, yeah. 29 and a half.
20, okay.
I've been here in eastern North Carolina following graduate school at East Carolina University. I moved to Morehead City, or moved to Emerald Isle, Swansboro area, and began work with the North Carolina Division of Marine Fisheries. I worked there for a little over 8 years as a commercial gear commercial gear development fisheries biologist. In 2010, I transferred from there and worked with the National Marine Fisheries Service.
Okay, I want to go back. Commercial gear biologist.
Commercial, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What,
fisheries biologists specializing in commercial gear development. Commercial gear development.
The reason I stopped on that one is one of the great criticisms about the whole commercial fishing industry has been the criticisms of the gear.
Absolutely.
You've worked on that.
Very much so.
What was the purpose of your working on the gear?
Well, in both my capacity as a biologist with North Carolina Division of Marine Fisheries, as well as my capacity with the National Marine Fisheries Service, and in turn working collaboratively with North Carolina Division of Marine Fisheries, North Carolina Sea Grant, and an industry work group, we've really developed 4 gear combinations.
Gear combinations?
Gear combinations that achieved a greater than 40% finfish bycatch reduction above our standard gear.
Back up. Because one of the great criticisms, we talked a few minutes ago with Glenn Skinner about House Bill 442.
Yes, sir.
And the fact that the argument was the shrimping industry, the fishing industry, the net industry is decimating, it's killing the environment.
Exactly.
It's sucking the oxygen out of the air. We're all going to, now I'm overkill there. Okay. But
yeah.
You were working in your capacity to reduce the bycatch. That is what wasn't the targeted species. Frankly, what the shrimpers didn't want.
Yes.
The fish get in the way. They want shrimp.
That's it. And often, while their catches are very clean, sometimes there is a bycatch component. And the bycatch reduction devices, or BRDs, if you will, function very well to exclude and eliminate that bycatch. In fact, North Carolina was the first state to implement and require bycatch reduction devices in commercial shrimp trawls. They're now required as well in commercial skimmer trawls, which is one of the 5 states that propagates skimmer trawling. And we are also the first and only state to now mandate 2 bycatch reduction devices in our operations. The level of work that the industry has put in, the division, Sea Grants, other collaborators like myself from NIPS into addressing finfish bycatch issue is paramount. This industry really ought to be revered, supported and applauded, and supported by every citizen of this state and the nation. We could really be viewed as leaders in bycatch reduction and commercial trawl fisheries here in North Carolina.
You watch me staring at you, and you're going, okay, what have you said wrong? What you've said wrong is why the state, and I'm not talking you, I'm talking the state of North Carolina, the members of the legislature, the Department of Agriculture, the Department of Commerce, because fishing right now comes under DENR, if I'm not mistaken, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, under which the Division of Marine Fisheries falls.
Yes.
Why hasn't that been promulgated? I use that term, big Navy term I used to use. But why is that's a rhetorical question.
Yep.
That's one of the things it seems to me what you will be doing. Well, let me ask you, is that one of the things you will be doing in your capacity as deputy director, pointing out how the industry has tackled its critics?
Yes, sir. I mean, I already have done that, for 23 years as a state and federal fishery biologist.
But here's the problem. You got to be careful. You work for the state or the federal government. You got to say what they want you to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true.
Now you're working for a private enterprise.
Well, I mean,
I say private. It's a nonprofit organization, Southern Shrimp Alliance.
Yeah.
So now you have a bully pulpit.
100%. I mean, I've always said things like they are, but you're certainly right. In working in a federal and state capacity, you're sometimes limited on the.
Oh, no, you're not. Sometimes you're totally limited.
Yeah, it's true, but no longer. I will say it like it is, and spread that word to as many people as possible.
We're talking with the newly appointed deputy director of the Southern Shrimp Alliance, and apparently this is a new position. Am I correct on that?
It is. I started in early August. I really have been watching Southern Shrimp Alliance for a long time.
Oh, yeah.
And upon my leaving NOAA under a Doge cut.
You were doged.
I was doged. I couldn't dodge the Doge.
Okay.
So I started lobbying with Southern Shrimp Alliance, and I couldn't be more happy that I got fired. I'm in this position.
Well, you've got the credentials. You work with the Division of Marine Fisheries. You're a fish biologist.
Yeah.
Well, a fish gear biologist, if you want to call it.
Fisheries
biologist.
Yeah.
And then you work for NOAA. You worked with NOAA. What was your capacity at NOAA?
The same, but further expanded. I was also a gear development fisheries biologist, providing direct industry support, again, from North Carolina to Texas. I worked with a group called the Harvesting Systems Unit based out of Pascagoula, Mississippi, but I was always stationed here in Beaufort, North Carolina at the NOAA Beaufort Lab. In addition to conducting research and in conjunction with industry work groups and providing courtesy TED inspections and ensuring folks' gear was correct before their operations. We also were involved in an international Section 609 program, which mandates that the Department of State and NOAA travel throughout the world to countries that are certified in the program. For those that have a commercial wild-caught trawling for export, if they want to export to the United States, they have to follow our same rules in terms of having TEDs, fishery management program, and an enforcement program.
And by the way, you've heard that term TED, turtle extruder device.
That's correct.
That was, matter of fact, one of the first things that was developed for the trawl business, was it not? Was the turtle extruder devices?
It was. It underwent a long research capacity, really starting in the late 70s, 78, 79. At the time, NOAA and the industry worked very cohesively to develop what now is a very functional TED here throughout in the United States and throughout the world. In fact, I don't meet a fisherman now that says, I don't know how we ever trawled before without TEDs. Obviously, they're designed for the elimination and exclusion of protected species, sea turtles, under the Endangered Species Act. But in addition, certainly with our skimmer trawl TED testing, we saw reductions of finfish with just TEDs alone up to 39%.
Which was problematic here, and I will take a break on this, so I'm not going to ask you to answer this, but what's problematic here is, especially, and we're talking about House Bill 442, which was attempted back in June to shut down the entire shrimping industry. And some in the commercial fishing industry believe it was kind of the first really big hammer to eventually shut down the commercial fishing writ large. But what's bothersome here is you've just pointed out something that indicates that their arguments about the reason for shutting it down were purely lies. That the argument that the commercial fishing industry doesn't care about the environment, doesn't care about solving these problems, been working since 1970. We're now, that, by the way, if you do a quick calculation, almost 55 years. It's Viewpoints on the Talk Station FM 107.1, and our guest has kindly got me unraveled here. Deputy Director Blake Price from Carteret County is the new Deputy Director of the Southern Shrimp Alliance. Where are you from originally, Blake?
I grew up in Charleston, West Virginia. Yep.
No.
Yes. I haven't lived there since I was 18, but I live in Onslow County now.
Okay,
Swansboro.
All right.
Yeah.
Just speak about that. You are married into a fishing family, right?
That is correct. The Phillips family running.
Not St. Phillips.
Not St. Phillips.
Nope.
And as a former federal fishery biologist, it took a long time to get on the totem pole with that family. They had to really fill me out to understand the level of genuity.
I bet.
Yes, and maintaining commercial industry operations, especially commercial shrimp trawls, was always very important to me. And since my time with my wife, it's been personal, and it will remain so. I mean, I feel like 90% of this country has forgotten that food doesn't come from the grocery store.
Not only that it is the independent farmer and fisherman who's the backbone of the provider.
100%. And we supply, in terms of commercial shrimp, a highly superior protein product that's caught right out our back doors here in eastern North Carolina.
We won't belabor the issue here of 442, House Bill 442. It has been side-railed for the moment. But the bigger problem is education. Mm-hmm. And Glenn Skinner was on with us just a few minutes ago. He is the executive director of He's a commercial fisherman if he could find time to commercial fish, but he's too busy managing the North Carolina Fisheries Association. It is a matter of education, and frankly, I stand myself in ignorance. I mentioned that when I was talking to Deborah Long with your office.
Absolutely.
She's a spokesperson for the Southern Shrimp Alliance, about the level of controls and discipline required just to fish in North Carolina as a commercial fisherman. Mm-hmm. And the thing I'm wondering is Southern Shrimp Alliance, and of course, I didn't realize also, shrimp, as I understand it, is North Carolina's number one seafood product?
That is correct, yes.
Number one.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to close it down.
I pray not. I pray not.
That was the intent.
Yeah, it was.
Did I miss something here?
You did not. It's baffling that would even be suggested. It's not just about the commercial families, the shrimpers themselves, and the families that depend on it, the communities and regions at large. Mm.
All right. In your capacity now with the Southern Shrimp Alliance, and we were talking about this off air, and I've mentioned even on air, you now have the luxury of being able to state the facts without worrying about the political ramifications with the members of the legislature or Congress or wherever.
Yeah.
In your capacity now as Deputy Director of the Southern Shrimp Alliance, what will your duties be? I'm hoping, and I'm predetermining that you're going to be out there basically promoting the value and the importance, and we talked about this, wild-caught seafood that we know the source of which we know the source. Is that one of your jobs?
It is, and it's going to be a multifaceted position with many responsibilities, but outreach and education and information to, as you said earlier, Lockwood, the consumer, the industry at large, and the consumer coastal and the consumer inland is going to be a paramount aspect.
And the other aspect of it, though, and we talked about this in relationship to the Coastal Coalition, is talking to those state legislators and to federal regulators too, because one of the great problems, and I've talked with Glenn about this in the past, Glenn Skinner of the North Carolina Fisheries Association. And by the way, you're representing not just North Carolina. You've got 7 other states that you're going to be involved with.
That's correct. The Southern Shrimp Alliance is comprised of the executive director, myself, executive assistants, and then a team of attorneys in D.C., as well as a government relations person, and as you know, Debbie Long. And each state has 2 voluntary board members that are representative of their area, 2 in here in North Carolina, and in each state from here to Texas.
Because you've got situations. North Carolina is North Carolina alone in its overwhelming effort to kill the industry? I say kill it, to greatly diminish the industry.
Well, I'll be honest, Lockwood, and all my travels and all my work with industry stakeholders, including recreational industry stakeholders, I've never seen a bigger civil war anywhere relative to here in North Carolina, the constant attack on the commercial fishing industry at large, and obviously most recently, once again, with the commercial shrimp trawl fishery. And for the life of me, I don't understand it. Again, food doesn't come from the grocery store. You don't have this level of attack at all from the commercial fishing industry back towards the recreational industry. No. This is a public resource, and in my opinion, one user group is trying to obtain all of it just for themselves.
Wow. Blake Price with us this afternoon. You've shared with us something that I think is a pretty stirring comment, that North Carolina pretty much stands at the top of the list when it comes to the aggressiveness between the 2 user groups.
Yes, not that. Please don't misunderstand.
When I say aggressive, I'm talking the political aggressiveness.
Yes, there are certainly other issues in each of our Southeast and Gulf states, and there are many issues that Southern Shrimp Alliance attacks at the federal level. But at the state level, yes, exactly.
Wow,
I've never seen it greater.
Again, it's an important product. We've talked about the issue of recall, and the fact that we know that wild-caught seafood is fresher. We have a better sense of the environment in which it's raised. Yeah. That, to me, is a message that, granted, we want to get to the consumer. When I sit down at the table, am I eating fresh seafood? Am I eating what was the source of this seafood? I think that's important. But it seems to me that the legislative side, the regulatory side, should be also engaged in this and being concerned and supportive. Are they?
More so recently, with the Manifest Modernization Act and the reintroduction of that. It is designed to.
Yeah. Let's talk about that very quickly. We've got about a minute and a half to go. Shrimp coming in by air is treated differently than if it's coming in by ship. Am I correct?
That's correct. By air, rail, or truck. There is no manifest that says where that shrimp was, in this case, grown, or where it was shipped from. So this Modernization Act will hopefully address that and give us a little bit more transparency to track our products. In addition to that, we try to push very hard on increased FDA testing of products that come into this country, specifically shrimp, for the Southern Shrimp Alliance, because very little testing is conducted, less than 1% at times, and often 30% or greater are found with contaminants. And if I just may add real quickly, it's not just antibiotics that are found in shrimp, imported shrimp, and not all imported shrimp,
right.
but that are found there, but it's also really supporting forced child labor laws that occurs in these countries that we know that the U.S. government has proven. So it's very, to me, unethical. In addition, finally, we're working to hopefully work with legislators to implement labeling laws that at least tells that restaurants are required to tell whether the product is imported or local.
That's important. I want to thank, and we didn't get into all that we needed to get into, and we're going to be talking more. Blake Price, Deputy Director of the Southern Shrimp Alliance. Welcome to the program. Thank you very much. Also,
thank you very much.
Congratulations.
I greatly appreciate it. I couldn't be happier. I'm ready for the fight. So.
Outstanding. All right, more to come here on the Talk Station.